So I just had a call with some folks that was talking about things I've been doing over the past week and celebrated some new achievements that I've had with exercising and working out. And I used to really resist exercising because I saw it as this thing that I had to struggle through. I was putting myself through, lifting weights and running and all that stuff. My attitude was, this sucks. I'm doing this so that I will look good or maybe feel good. And I wanted to exercise, I wanted to be in shape, I did want to look good, I did want to feel good, but my attitude was that in order for me to have these things, I have to go through this really crappy process and it's not going to be any fun. And then something happened, I changed my attitude and said, you know what, I want to look good, I do want to feel good, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And so I started working out every day except for the weekends because I wanted to give myself time on the weekends to actually just rest, and your body needs that when it's been exercising. So this past week I reached kind of a couple milestones. I lowered my mile time. It was really slow. It was like 18 minutes, and I got a mile in about 14 and a half minutes. So that's progress. I'm not done with that. I want to get my mile down to like 12 or 11 minutes. And then my legs have not been all that strong for most of my life. I've focused more of my attention on exercising my arms and where a lot of my natural strength is in terms of body composition. And train's loud. But this week I squatted 175, and that was a huge deal for me because I weigh 110 pounds. And so I'm not a very big person, obviously. I'm really skinny. I'm short, and so I was talking with some friends, and I was sharing with them this milestone that I reached, and I was really proud of myself. And one of the things that was said was, "Dude, I could eat you. Like I weigh way more than that." And one of my friends that's a guy said, like, I'm like three of you, and my other friend was like, "Oh, I could squash you. I'm way heavier than that." And there's kind of this like feeling, and I get this periodically from people, that is like, oh, you're so lucky, it's unfair that, actually they don't say you're lucky at first, they say, oh, it's unfair that you're so skinny. And I used to disagree with that because I didn't think that it was fair. But I do agree that my skinniness and the fact that I've got this small frame is unfair. Most people, when they hear that, they think it's unfair because that's not their situation, and they wish that it was. And so their attitude is, it's unfair that I am living in this body, and whether they have whether they're really fit, or they have to work really hard to get in shape, or maybe they haven't, or whatever, but like they look at me and they go, oh, that's unfair, I wish I had that, you're so lucky. And since they haven't lived a day in my shoes, they don't know that my reason for thinking it's unfair is completely different. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself lucky to have had 3 surgeries on my digestive tract before I was a year old. And because of that experience, my subconscious was impacted in these ways that when I even like see something that's remotely painful, or like I can't really watch violent movies that are like intensely violent, because like I emotionally and psychologically get sucked into those scenes, and I start feeling like and imagining myself going through those situations. And I think that psychologically that's related to the experiences that I had as an infant baby, where I was having surgery on my digestive tract, where they were like taking out chunks of it just to keep me alive. And the results of that are I'm probably going to peak, if I ever peak at a weight class, will be at like 120. And there's middle school boys that weigh more than that, that are still relatively skinny. That's always going to be the thing for me. In terms of fairness, I kind of think that's unfair. I don't spend a whole lot of time necessarily counting my calories, but I do eat healthy because I do want to take care of my body, and that combined with exercise is the way we treat our bodies like a temple. There's a great quote that Wayne Dyer has that says, you'll never treat your body, you'll never find your heart in a temple if you don't see your heart as a temple, or something to that degree. It has to do with honoring and respecting your body. But I've chosen recently to honor and respect my body, and that's why I'm taking these proactive steps. But in terms of fairness, in terms of fairness, I'm cooking some salmon because it's healthy and it tastes good, and it's relatively inexpensive. In terms of fairness, growing up, like, I was always the shortest, skinniest, scrawniest kid. Always the shortest, skinniest, scrawniest kid. And it didn't matter whether I was a senior in high school, I was mostly the shortest, skinniest, scrawniest kid of all the kids in school, including the freshmen, with maybe a few exceptions, like one or two. But honestly, that's unfair. If we're going to talk about fairness, I was picked on a lot, I was bullied a lot, I was ostracized a lot, I was treated as less than, I was treated as somebody that didn't matter, I was overlooked professionally and, as a student. A lot of that having to do with body size and type, but also because with that body type came, in my frame and everything, came a whole lot of insecurities that I wrestled with all the time, out of fear of being bullied and fear of being picked on and being treated as less than and being treated as somebody that wasn't all that important. And also the way that I saw myself and I wanted to be somebody that was taken seriously. I wanted to be somebody that was respected. I wanted to be somebody that was seen as strong, and I didn't see myself as that because I saw myself as this short, skinny runt. And that is unfair. And so when people point at me, or they talk about how it's unfair that I'm so skinny, or it's unfair that I'm, I wouldn't necessarily have to exercise to look like I'm in shape or to not gain weight. That's a benefit of the surgeries and all that stuff. But it's not something that has contributed to a high self-esteem, and it's that by itself is unfair. And so for people to point at me and say it's unfair that you have this gift, yeah, that is unfair, but the process to get to this place in time where the person that you see isn't somebody that's insecure, the person that you see is somebody that's strong and confident and knows who he is and walks around in that. And because of that, I operate out of my strengths, and I'm empowering and I'm encouraging and I'm loving to people. All of that's come from doing the hard work of harnessing all the stuff that's inside of me and getting to where I am comfortable in my own skin. And that's taken time, and that's taken a lot of work. And that's making the decision that, just like exercise, I'm going to do the hard work to get to where I want to go. I used to dream about being, I wanted to be tall, and I wanted to be, muscular and all that stuff, because I thought that if I had that, then I would have the life that I want. And it turns out that I would not have the life that I want if I suddenly changed those capabilities or attributes about me. I'd have to go through another process to learn how to adapt to that and wrestle with the fears that come with just being a human, that you can't change one thing about yourself on the outside and not change the things on the inside and have the life that you want to live. Until you change your inside and work from your inside outward, you don't have the self-esteem, the confidence, the peace, the strength, and the ability to make the strong difference in the world that you can. You start with the inside of you, and everything else works out. It's kind of like, I was talking with a couple friends of mine yesterday about the time-space continuum, and how like movies like Back to the Future, and there's a couple movies or TV shows that have to do with time travel. If you go back in time, this is a thing in Back to the Future, if you go back in time and change one thing, you can't go back in time and change one thing and then come back to the present that you left and pick up where you left off. And now that problem that you had is suddenly corrected, and you can just live every day as though nothing's changed. That's not the way that it works at all. So if you're looking at somebody like me, or you're looking at somebody else, you're looking at somebody that, like, maybe you're a girl and you wish that you were shorter and you like weighed 88 pounds and you had curves and you had all this stuff, but you looked different than you look now. And you're looking at these other people and you're like, oh, I wish I had that. That's unfair. Why can't I have that? If you were to suddenly wake up tomorrow and step into that person's shoes, your life just doesn't suddenly become magically glorious and amazing and awesome and all of your problems are taken care of. I mean, look at that movie 17 again. That's kind of an example. There's several other movies where people have woken up the next day and like this magical thing has happened and suddenly they're in these new bodies and they're like, what the hell do I do with this? Like, that's unfair because you've suddenly you're not who you were before. Everything's changed and everything's different, and now you've got to go through this new process of learning about yourself and discovering about yourself, and now you've got new struggles, and now you've got new insecurities, and now you've got new fears and new worries, and what do I do with all this, and are people going to accept me now, right? And then you get out there and you have to do some of the same things. I'm saying all this to say that we got to get away from this idea that if I had what somebody else had, then my life would be perfect. It's unfair that I don't have what I want right now, and so I just wish that I wish I had your problem, D. Grant. Like I wish that I could eat whatever the hell I wanted to and not have to worry about gaining weight. Well, yeah, that's a problem, I guess, that's good to have. But like, and I lived that way a long time. If I continue to live that way, what's to say that I'm not doing damage to my heart? Or doing damage to my muscles or my tendons or my digestive tract that's already kind of reconstructed, or doing damage to something else because I'm not paying attention to the things that I'm eating. On the outside, it looks like one thing, but on the inside, it's something completely different. On the outside, I look like a fairly confident, self-assured, solid person, and on the inside, I am all those things. But the process to get to that place did not happen overnight, and there was a lot of struggles and a lot of hardships and a lot of difficulties to go through to get to where I believe in myself, I love myself, I take care of myself, I do it for the right reasons, I operate out of my strengths, and because of that I can give and I can love wholly and I can encourage and empower people, which is my number one love language. I operate out of my love language because I love myself, and to get to that place has taken me working from the inside out. So my encouragement to you is to stop comparing yourself to anybody else. Stop looking at other people and saying, I wish I had that, or I wish I had this, or oh, they've got so much money, I wish I had all that kind of money. Change your attitudes and change your practices. If making more money is something you want to do, surround yourself with people that are good at making money. Learn what you can. Learn how to make changes in your life so that you can do that. I'm in the process of doing that. I've been reading Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass at Making Money. And not only am I reading the book and feeling empowered by her stories, but I'm taking her advice and going through that journey because that's what I want. I want to be badass at making money. I'm getting better at being badass at making money. I'm much different than I was even like 6 to 8 months ago. Do the inside work. That's where transformation comes from. It doesn't come from the outside suddenly coming in. Your foundations have to be set and have to be solid. You can't just suddenly have like the Empire State Building dumped on top of a spot on the ground and that thing still stand. The foundations underneath the Empire State Building are freaking badass, solid, awesome, structurally designed and ready to hold that building upright as it is on a clear day with no bad weather, and also on a terrible day with rain and wind and storms and all kinds of calamities going on, and it still remains solid. Your inside is where your foundations are. What is going on inside of you? What is inside your heart? What kind of love garden is inside of your heart and inside of your spirit? And if you're not adept at farming your heart and growing your heart and planting love and cultivating that soil inside your heart, then that's the real work that you need to do. That's what I help people do with coaching. That's what I help people do with videos like this. If you want some more help with this, stop comparing yourself, get out of this space of negativity, get out of this space where you're wishing that you had somebody else's life, and embrace your own, and do the hard work. And yeah, it is hard, but it's good, and it lasts when you commit yourself to it. If you want help with that, reach out to me. I'm here for you.